Brawl Talk is out and we got 2 new brawlers, 7 new skins, including a free one, a new environment, a new remodel, and I'm going to explain every gadget that was revealed and a hidden one as well. Let's do it. Now I'm going to have more update sneak peeks coming as soon as I possibly can. So if you don't want to miss out, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell if you want a notification. Okay, so there's 7 new skins coming in this update and 1 remodel. Of course, the remodel was leaked and that's Daryl. It does actually look nicer in my opinion, especially in game, like in playing in a match. Just stands still, not quite as much, but in a match it looks really good. Daryl's also getting a new skin as well called Mascot Daryl, where he looks like a soccer ball if you're American, or if you're European, it looks like a football, and he also fires out what looks like confetti from his gun. There's also 2 new star skins, College M's and Dark Bunny Penny. Not sure what they're gonna cost, but Dark Bunny Penny looks really sweet. There's also a skin which you can win for free, which I'll go over how to do that in a moment, which is PSG Shelly, which has like a little trumpet shotgun and of course a PSG uniform. And then there's 3 skins that are gonna be coming in April. You got Coach Mike, I don't know how to say the Jesse skin, Tanuki Jesse, someone's really gonna correct me in the comments. I know it probably wasn't right. And also Horace Bow, which was made by Getty Core, and it's gonna be the first fan-made skin that's gonna be in-game in Brawl Stars. Now, how can you win the free skin? Well, there's gonna be a new challenge in-game called the PSG Brawl Ball Cup. You have to get 9 wins before you get 4 losses, and it's all Brawl Ball matches. It's gonna be very similar to how the Brawl Stars Championship Challenge is won, but it's gonna be just Brawl Ball, and you only need 9 wins, plus you can get up to 4 losses, or you can't get more than 4 losses until you're out. But hey, the potential for a free skin is freaking awesome, and I'm so glad Supercell is allowing us to have something like this in game. And hey, if you don't get the 9 wins, you'll still be able to buy the skin with gems later on. There is a new environment which you see a lot in the footage, which looks like a new Brawl Ball environment, which I actually think looks really well done. They also polished up or did some slight changes to some existing environments. Looks like the gem grab one, they added some like sounds or something, symbols that look like they're coming out of the mine, and I'm not quite sure what else they did. Oh, big note, tickets are being removed from Brawl Stars. That's right. Tickets will be gone. Now, they're not going to be deleted right away, so do not panic. You do not have to spend your tickets ASAP, but you will need to spend them, I presume, relatively quickly, like maybe within a few weeks is my guess. We don't know the timeline yet, but as soon as this update hits, you will no longer be able to get any tickets in any box or in the shop. Why? I don't know, they didn't say, but my presumption is they are completely changing ticket events, either removing them completely from the game, or it's gonna be some definitely very new system, that is for sure. Before we go into detail with all the gadgets, here is how they work. First of all, you can unlock them for every brawler at level 7. You do have to get them either in a box or you can buy them in the shop. You don't get them automatically once you get to level 7, but they will have a higher drop rate than star powers will. What that is exactly, who knows? Star power drop rates are about 1%. So you get 1 every 100 boxes. Maybe it's 1 every 50 or something like that, but really we'll just have to find out. Now, every gadget can only be used a limited number of times per match, but the way they phrase it, it makes it sound like it's more than 1 for every brawler, but also every brawler might not have the same amount of uses for each gadget. So while some gadgets may seem really strong, you might only be able to use them 2, maybe 3 times per match, and others you could be able to use even more, which actually I think is a great way to balance this sort of thing, because the power for every gadget is gonna, I feel like it's gonna be all over the place, especially at first. All right, let's go over the 11 gadgets that we know about. Now, all the clips are really short, to be honest, so I'm gonna be slowing them down a ton to make them a lot easier to see, because they go by pretty quickly, so you'll be able to get a better idea of what they all really can do. Let's start out with Brock's gadget. Brock's gadget, it looks like he fires 1 rocket into the ground and it makes him jump up into the air exactly like Dynamite does with his Dyna Jump star power. But I'm presuming that the rocket does damage, although we don't actually know because no enemies, it seemed like, are within range of the explosion that looks like it's happening. It definitely looks like there's an explosion, so I presume it also does damage. Is this going to be good star power? I think for Brock, it could actually be pretty solid, allowing him to escape in a lot of different situations. Since he is a low health brawler, this could help him stay alive in different situations and be more aggressive. Especially if he has, say, rocket number 4, he could jump in, spam 4 rockets. Maybe if he has another gadget, then he can jump back out. Next, speaking of Dynamite, this one seems quintessential Dynamite. He's, of course, spinning in a circle the whole time, and he's throwing dynamites around. Looks like he's throwing individual dynamites, and by the time we see this going on, he's already been spinning. So technically, we don't know exactly how many dynamite sticks he throws, but in the clip, you can see 17 being thrown. Let's just round up and say he's at least doing an even number, and Brawl Stars isn't going to make all us OCD people go crazy. And in that case, if that's true, he's throwing at least 18. That's over 20,000 potential damage that Dynamite is throwing around, and that's a crazy amount. I mean, of course, it is all sort of random in a circle, so I don't know how much of that you're actually going to hit. But let's pretend you have Dyna Jump. This could be a boost for that star power. Maybe you can jump on in with Dyna Jump to avoid damage as you go in, use that gadget, and then jump back on out afterwards after you just dealt 20,000 damage in a small circle. Now, Rico's gadget. When you slow this down, it becomes easier to see. It looks like he fires out 8 individual of his bouncy balls twice. So he does it in almost like a square pattern, going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 around his body, and he does that 2 times. At least that's what it looks like from this. Of course, they are bouncing a ton, so it's a little bit hard to tell, but when you look at where they escape from his body when they first come out, that's what it looks like. Now again, this could also be a lot of damage, especially since Rico's bullets can hit multiple people, but of course, sort of like Dynamite's, it's just sort of random. It's going out all around him, so you can't exactly aim this sort of thing. You can position yourself, but who knows actually how much damage it will be realistic. Now, Spike's gadget is actually really similar to Rico's. Again, he fires out stuff from the center of his body. He fires out spikes. In this case, he fires out 10 of them, and he does it twice. But presumably, the range is a lot shorter than Rico's, since Rico's can keep on bouncing, and his normal super shot is a really long range, and it looked like Rico's shot at a long range. Spike shot looks like a normal spike explosion range from his body, but it's also curveball style, so it curves, so he probably has a better chance of hitting someone as long as they're within that range. Now, Gene's gadget's really interesting. Looks like it does 0 damage, but it pushes back enemies who are close by within a certain range of Gene's, at least to outside of presumably the circle that he's in. So if they're right next to him like that Rico was, it looks like it'll push him about 5 tiles away, which is actually really far. And like if you're playing as a gem carrier in Gem Grab with Gene, which is very common, that could be a really good way to survive. Although it's kind of interesting for Gene, who has a super, to pull people towards him, to also have another ability to push them away. I mean, would you really, you wouldn't super someone towards you and then push them away, but it could be an example of maybe you pulled them in and you just missed your shots, or somehow it didn't go well, or maybe you accidentally pulled a Shelly instead of that Penny you were trying to pull. Well, push them away. Now, El Primo's is actually pretty similar to Gene's as well. It looks like he throws or kicks or pushes someone, an enemy who's within range of him, and he throws them presumably behind him, which is interesting. You can at least throw an enemy closer to your allies, but the other weird part about this is it puts them out of El Primo's range, and as one of the shortest range brawlers in the game, this doesn't really seem like a good idea for El Primo. Yes, it pushes them closer to your allies. That could be useful, but let's say you have one ally dead or maybe someone out of position. It might not be as useful as you might think. Wouldn't you rather just punch them in the face instead of throwing them away from you so you can't attack them? I mean, there's definitely some situations I could see it being useful, but it just doesn't seem like an ideal sort of ability for El Primo to have. Now, Max's gadget, looks like when she uses it, she gains not only a speed boost, which is kind of weird since she already has that, or maybe it's so hard to tell because of just how short the clip is, but also a shield, which actually would be pretty solid for Max. Since she's so speedy, you want to be really aggressive with her. Now you can have a shield to help you be a little bit more aggressive and make those speedy, hyper aggressive plays you want to make with Max. You can get a shield. Now, I have no idea how much damage reduction that shield might have, but it's a not bad idea. Now, Penny's gadget looks like her cannon explodes when you use it, and the explosion breaks down walls, and it also looks like the last blast effect comes out of Penny's cannon, but I'm not sure if that's because whoever the penny was actually using that star power, and you need that star power to have that effect, or just having that gadget for penny allow the last blast effect to happen. Those are definitely two different things, which would determine how useful it really is. If you need last blast, just exploding your cannon and breaking down walls is really not useful, but with last blast, or maybe without it, it could be. Either way, I mean, wall break ability is not bad, but I'm not quite sure about this gadget for penny. We'll have to see if we can get more detail that'll prove us wrong. Now, Carl's gadget looks like he leaves a trail of fire when he uses it. Now, we have no idea how long it lasts and how much fire he could potentially leave. But imagine this with Carl's super. It could maybe make for some really interesting interactions, or at least it would add more damage to Carl's super when he uses it, because they're probably walking over it since you are going to be right on top of them while you're supering them, at least presumably, although they're also trying to escape. So maybe not. I don't know. It sounds kind of interesting in theory. We'll see how good it really is, though. 8-Bit's gadget looks like he teleports to wherever his turret is, or presumably, I don't know if you need to be within a certain distance, but it also destroys his turret. So this is certainly a really cool ability. Teleportation, I can imagine useful things with this, mostly in solo showdown and maybe in like heist, but then again, you would also want to have your turret with you so you do extra damage. So it's weird to want to teleport to it. You could, of course, use it to throw the turret at an enemy and then you can teleport there and be closer to them, but then you're also just sort of wasting your super. You no longer have your super then at all in that case because you're destroying it. So it definitely seems some pluses with the teleportation, which is kind of cool, but you can't throw your turret that far. So really it's more like you place it down, you go away, and then you can teleport back, sort of as an escape, maybe? I could see potential use, but since you destroy the turret, it's hard to imagine it being that great. Now Mortis's gadget looks like he spins in a circle, swinging his shovel in a small radius and damages nearby enemies for 1300 damage. Now this is not that much damage, so we'll really depend on how many times he can use this gadget in a match, but this could definitely help Mortis secure some kills as a brawler who relies on heavily how much ammo he has, not only for how much damage he can do, but how far he can dash across the map and how mobile in general he can be as far as chasing enemies, catching up to them, dealing damage to them, or escaping from them. Now here's everything you really need to know about the new Brawler Jackie. First off, she's a super rare. If you're into Brawl Stars lore, she's technically a part of Carl and Dynamite's gang. Kind of makes sense since she's a bit of a driller type brawler and they're robots and Dynamite's into mines and stuff like that. Anyway, she has a jackhammer which has a small area of effect attack which you do not aim. It just goes all the way in a small area around you. Now the attack damage actually varies depending on the max health that brawler has. You can tell based on how much damage her attack does depending on what brawler she's attacking. It looks like that damage maxes at 1,840. Now looking at it versus a lot of brawlers, it did somewhere between 25 to 30% of the total damage of their maximum health. But after the cap, say if you're facing an El Primo, it only did about 21% of the total max health El Primo has, so it's not going to be nearly as effective versus brawlers like El Primo, and even worse versus brawlers like Frank, or just anyone who has incredibly high health. Now Jackie's super pulls in enemies around her, sort of like a Tara super, but a bit slower and a much wider area of effect, and it doesn't break down walls, but it does apparently do attack damage. I'm thinking it does the exact same amount of damage as one normal attack, because otherwise it's kind of hard to tell. There was one moment where Leon took 31 damage, and I'm not sure where he got that from, so it could be that, but man, if it only does 31 damage, that is really lame. Oh wait, actually, going through gameplay of Jackie, I realized they sneakily showed us what her gadget is as well. It looks like she quickly strikes the ground twice, presumably does damage, although the radius of it looks very small, so she never actually hit anyone. But it just looks like 2 extra attacks is Jackie's gadget. Now, actually, I'm pretty sure we know what both star powers are for Jackie as well. If you look during Jackie's super, it looks like she has a shield, and then for a second afterwards, she keeps that shield. Now, when Danny and Ryan explained how Jackie's super worked, they didn't mention anything about a shield, and I'm guessing, like Supercell, they like shield mechanics for star powers. I'm guessing that's what one of Jackie's star powers is, but I think we know what the other one is too, because because there was one moment where they were showing the new Brawl Ball Arena and Jackie went through some grass and somehow she got a speed boost. She got those orange arrows, which you normally get after a max super happens, but there was no max on her team, so I'm not sure how she got that speed boost. And it looked like, my only guess is that because she was in some grass, maybe whenever she goes in grass, one of her other star powers is she gets a speed boost, which would be actually really useful for her as a brawler who has to attack in close range and, unlike other tanks, doesn't have a way to jump towards the enemy. Honestly, Jackie looks really good, not only dealing really solid damage, but also a super that can pull in multiple enemies and completely disrupt them and then finish them off with her high health. I think could be a really good combo, especially if you combine her with a brawler like Max, who can allow her to get within range of enemies really quickly. I think that could be really good, or even Poco to keep Jackie alive. Now, the other new brawler, they only tease for a few seconds, so we don't know a lot.
Hello.
But I'm gonna call them, I don't know if you guys ever played this game as a kid like I did. It was actually really fun, and I think it was only on GameCube. It was called Pikmin. Looks exactly like a Pikmin, but just in a robot suit and with a post-it note covering their face because they're too scared to see them, and they have a robot voice, which you could see and hear in Brawl Talk. But anyways, about the brawler, they're a thrower with a really short range, but the attack bounces. Looks like it only bounces once, and then it has a really wide explosion radius, even wider than Barley's. So it shouldn't be too hard to hit enemies, but it might be kind of hard to aim, especially in close range. And it kind of seemed like a slow moving shot, but it does have a very wide area effect. It only does 1400 damage though, which isn't horrible, but it's also not a lot. But it's also not as low health a brawler as, like, say, Barley is with 4,200 health. Now, the super is really weird and hard to tell what it is, but it looks like another thing you throw. Kind of looks like a spike super before it lands, but once it lands, it looks like a ton of vines come out. Now, they take up a lot of space on the map, so I'm not sure what that means. Whether that means if you walk in it, you get slowed down and take damage, or you can't walk in it at all. Maybe it's an obstacle that blocks the map. Who knows exactly what it is. Now, we have hardly 5 seconds of gameplay, so it's really hard to tell what any potential star power could be, so we'll have to wait on that. But the only other part we know about this brawler is that it's coming in April. Now, we got more sneak peeks coming soon, so make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out. But that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.